the purpose of the panel was really, now that most firms have defined a timeline to the return to office, we still know there are a number of unknowns with regard to addressing key details related to office space, design, disinfecting and sanitization, and various IT and networking issues that are going to be needed to accommodate a new flexible work environment. So today's panel will discuss both the immediate and the long-term implications of returning to work post-pandemic, and we will address the unique needs of a new and hybrid workspace. So logistically speaking, what are some short-term office and storage solutions you've noticed your legal customers are using to accommodate this constant fluctuation or quick, a quick demand to make changes inside their workplace in terms of, accommodating remote or hybrid work? Jim Durfee of Office Movers Express.
I guess one of the things that struck me, having been in the business for a while, noticing there were trends that people tended to repeat the same things over and over again. There was a certain pattern to it over a period of time, with lease renewals. And certainly most of my esteemed colleagues on this panel are planning for the long term in general practice. We tended to also. We tended to look ahead and see when the entire firm would move. But as we've all learned over this past year, things have happened much more quickly. People want answers more quickly. They're expecting things to happen fast. So I would say from the short term, that's really, we've had to retool and rethink our entire process, because that's what is being demanded out there. The first thing is clean up, clean out. Remember, there were a number of firms that were all declutter firms. That was a big thing for a while. They're still around, that would help you declutter your house, let alone your office. And yet now that seems to be on the top of everyone's list. So I'd say the things we've been noticing is, how can people repurpose their office, divest themselves of some space, some overhead costs in real estate, unfortunately to Cress or Gensler's concerns, all of ours, I guess. But how can they move things into storage? Obviously, there's a possibility of on-site in some cases, but there's also off-site storage. So I think what we've learned is to be nimble, to be quick, and to react to people's needs, because they come up very fast. No one's quite sure where this is going. So you don't want to get rid of everything. Put a few things in storage, hold on to it until you're really sure. And then, of course, moving things to people's homes. So I think in the cases of attorneys, other staff working from their homes, they need the right equipment, the right technology. Jim will speak to that a little bit. But the right equipment. These new sit-stand desks have come down in price considerably. Very useful in the home for a lot of different purposes. So I see people using that. Scanning documents. We just moved a law firm a couple of weeks ago that swore they were not going to take a single filing cabinet full of paper to the new site. They didn't. Not one filing cabinet moved. So everything was either scanned or it was tossed out or was sent to offsite storage. So that's a big change as well. The big file rooms, everything else. So the idea is to cut it down, and it's happening quickly.
And it sounds like because there were so many unknowns during the last 18 months that, some firms decided to, at some point needed to create more space in between, workstations. So they, utilized short-term storage, and that's a good solution if you're not sure what the future looks like for your firm. And you just need to, create different types of working environments.
If I could add one more thing, donation of items has become a big deal. There are a lot of outfits out there, a lot of charitable outfits, companies, organizations that are looking to help charities or are charities themselves, and are looking to support them. So this has opened up a stream of furniture that is going to, and that's become a big outlet for a lot of items going to help these charitable operations.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Really good point. When considering, or at least maintaining many attorneys and associates working partly from home and partly from the office, I guess logistically speaking, Jim Durfee, do you have any suggestions or thoughts on how administrators can coordinate these dual workplaces for their teams?
Well, our crews are subject to HIPAA legislation to understand it, know what it is, and abide by it. So our packers handle what can be very sensitive records. Our movers are moving them, the drivers. And within the office space, everyone expects that to happen. I think there could be, in some cases, some thought that does anyone really think about it when it's going to the home? HIPAA applies everywhere. It doesn't matter where it is. So I think one of the things that firms should be making clear that when they're moving items to the home, they should be under the same strict regimen that they are in the office. Do the whoever is taking these items home, staff, attorneys, are they locking them up? Are they keeping them secure? So not just the network, which Jim obviously covered very well, the network itself, but the actual documents. Are they leaving them out in the open? So are they making sure? And I don't know, from a legality standpoint, from a legal approach, what power the firm has over a person's home and the way they handle and store their records. But I would think that's something that all administrators would at least want to ask that question. How deeply involved can they get when these items go to somebody's house? How are they being stored? How are they being handled?
A brief question for everyone on the panel. Just answer briefly. I guess looking back, I have a unique perspective because over the last 15 years, I am able to go into all of these different law firms when I'm visiting with customers. So I see not only over the years, but by customer and by law firm, a lot of changes with regard to how their office is laid out and designed and things like that. So I thought it would be interesting to just see what, thinking back over the last 5 years or so, what's been the biggest office design change that you've seen in your legal customers? And do you think this will be affected by the pandemic or what it looks like when we return to the office? Jim Durfee?
Well, I've seen a lot of changes. Obviously, the things that Andrew and Antonella have already talked about and the way it's being restructured. I tell you, the first time I saw benching, I didn't think it would last long. It would only take one person to cough and everybody else would scatter. So I'm not surprised that, all these things were in motion to some degree that accelerated for obvious reasons. We talk about you don't put up a stop sign until after the accident. Well, this took one heck of an accident to put up a stop sign. And I think going forward, as a number of people have said, certainly Jeb with the cleaning, people will wear masks more in certain situations, certainly than they ever did before. We might see them at airports or some people traveling. I think we'll see them for a long time. So I think, but it's also changed our industry. And what it did to change our industry, instead of having movers who move the big heavy pieces of furniture, we now need a hybrid position. Someone who can disconnect and reconnect a computer, someone who can take apart and reconnect a wall unit, someone who can pack and help with other parts. So it's actually changed our industry in a big way. We're no longer moving big, heavy pieces of furniture. We're handling technology. And so we need somebody who's adept at doing that and the other things to go along with it. And we need to do it quickly and we need to do it expertly. So it's had a huge impact just on our business, let alone impact on law firms and everyone else.
Sure.